Yo, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Freedom Marchers. Good evening, Freedom Marchers. Freedom family, freedom lovers, freedom fighters. Snapzilla Gorilla is here, and this is Freedom's March. The channel is Freedom's March, and you're looking at and you're listening to Snapzilla Gorilla. Anyway, how y'all doing this afternoon? Wanted to get into this because this shit is wild and out of control. Now, this is going to be a quick live stream. I don't need to belabor it, but I do want to get into more of an extensive research. I want to give you guys more information on this because there are a lot of bullshit. There's a lot of bullshit coming out about this, right? And so that's what we have to touch on. Now, there are allegations going around that the South African government is committing genocide against white folks in South Africa. And that is bullshit, okay? Well, it's not proven. They can't prove it, right? They haven't proved it. And your boy Donald Trump has decided to spew this bullshit. And he had the president of South Africa at the White House in the Oval Office having a discussion. Now, I haven't gotten into that yet. I want to. And I will, because from what I understand, the South African president cooked him, right? Basically, because Donald Trump was accusing him of white genocide. Now, I didn't know that Donald Trump was a globalist, but we know that he is taking refugee Afrikaners from South Africa and allowing them to position themselves in the United States, right? Now, these are farmers. These are farmers that they are saying are being murdered, slaughtered, all this, that, and third, all this bullshit. It's nonsense. Now, I'm going to talk about the fact checking that I did in regards to this, these allegations, in regards to these accusations. I did some fact checking, and I found out that of the total murders in South Africa, in all the different regions of South Africa, the murders of white folks amount to less than 1% of the total murders in South Africa. Less than 1%. White Africans are not white. What am I talking about? White colonialists in Africa do not account for any significant number of total murders in South Africa. And they are not being slaughtered like they would have you believe. Let me tell you why. Because if that were the case, every government in NATO, right, every country that belongs to NATO, including the United States, would be all up and through South Africa right now, invading the shit out of it. They would be invading South Africa right now if there was really a genocide of white so-called Afrikaners in South Africa. They would have ran all up and through South Africa if that were really the case. No. What they are trying to do is gain sympathy for these white farmers so that our governments can convince us that they need to go over and interfere in the affairs of South Africa, because they can't present any evidence of any form of genocide of white folks in South Africa. They want us to give them the go-ahead. They don't want us to, because they don't have any evidence of it. And if they don't have evidence of it, then it is likely that that is not happening. Point blank and period. Do some fact checking. There is no evidence of any white genocide in South Africa. It's bullshit. If there were, they would be all up and through South Africa There would be cooing South Africa, right? There would be a coup in South Africa right now. They would be invading South Africa right now. They would be sanctioning the shit out of South Africa right now, but there is no evidence of it. What's going on is the government of Africa, which is seated by black folks, seated by indigenous Africans, are taking their land back. They're taking the land back. They are taking it from the white farmers. Now, you might say, and you hear this argument all the time, oh, well, they don't know how to farm the land without the white farmers. They could learn, right? If that were true. It's not, but if that were true, they could just figure it out, right? They have just as much knowledge of the land as these white farmers. And there are also black farmers, successful black farmers in South Africa that could spread the knowledge. Now, here's one thing we need to understand. Before the Europeans showed up to Africa, to many parts of Africa and South Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, they were not farming, okay, on a mass scale. They were hunter-gatherers. They were hunter-gatherers, meaning they were hunting for their meat and they were gathering their plants if they ate it. They probably did not very likely eat a lot of plant matter back in those days. Their main source of sustenance was animals. And they might eat some honey, eat some mango, eat some berries or whatever is native to Africa, just because it tasted good and all that other shit. But that was not their main source of sustenance before the Europeans showed up, before agriculture and all this mass farming. It was not necessary for them to farm. There were plenty of animals to hunt and plenty of flora to gather if they decided they want to eat it. If they wanted to eat some honey and laze around. If they wanted to eat some, some mango or whatever the fuck. They were not farming. They did not need to farm. There were plenty of animals. There were plenty of plants that were in the wild. See, this is what they're not going to tell you. What happened was the Europeans showed up and displaced many of the animals with their bullshit when they came over, and raped and pillaged and all that other shit, all those hundreds of years ago. When they disrupted the ecology, right? When they disrupted the wildlife, when they disrupted the indigenous tribes and did all this shit and tried to civilize them. That's what happened. So we did not need the fucking farm. There was no need for that. The reason farming was needed was because these goddamn Europeans started flooding many parts of Africa, and so they needed to feed them greedy motherfuckers. That's what happened. Let's get it straight. There was no farming needed. No, but what they do, they go over there to Africa in general, and they displace and extinctify all manner of animals. Just led many species of animals to extinction, right? And did some Africans participate in that? Did some indigenous Africans, with the lack of foresight and the lack of unity and the lack of code following, did they participate? Absolutely. But real odds and evens was good. Yes, we participated in that, right? But before the Europeans showed up and started conniving, and before they started doing the bullshit, which is what it was. When you go to another country that is not native to you and you start to do things like, slaughter a bunch of people, grape a bunch of people, take over and commit tyranny all over. Well, you have to do things because you're bringing your greedy asses. You're trying to spread yourself all over the world because you're trying to control the whole goddamn world. No, it's not good enough that we just trade and, oh, no, it's not good enough. No, we got to pretend like we want a relationship. We want to pretend like, we want to just have fair trade. And then you start conniving and start corrupting and all this other shit. And next thing you know, Europeans all over the place, just disrupting whole fucking countries, destabilizing whole countries, leading whole tribes to extinction and putting them on reservations and committing apartheid in their own fucking land. So yeah, you got to start farming to feed all you greedy motherfuckers, you greedy, lazy motherfuckers. Yeah. So that's what happened. Yeah. So they're the white farmers. Why do you think that that's the case? Hold on a second. Why do you think that's the case? That not very many Africans know how to farm their own land. Because they didn't need to fucking farm. They were hunters and gatherers. And if they did farm, they farmed on a smaller scale, right? And they did not need to displace millions and millions of animals and thousands of species of animals. So let's get that straight right now. And that's really all I got. No, you out of pocket, Dead Mike. No, Dead Mike, Africans cannot be white. No, you're wrong. You're incorrect. Why do you think they call them Afrikaners? It is what it is. They are who they are. I see Dead Mike is on the shit today. They are white colonialists. They're European colonialists. You know what's out of pocket? Slaughtering millions and millions of Africans. And then set up shop. Right? That's what's out of pocket. Oh, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck who feelings I'm hurting. These are the facts. These are the facts. Just like white folks in Australia, they're not Australians, right? They are colonialists. Period. Just like the Europeans here in the United States. They are colonialists. They got here by way of colonialism. That's just a fact. They're not indigenous, right? They're not indigenous. They might be so-called native because they were born here, right? But they are not. They are European American. European American. And it is what it is. In Europe, they're just Europeans. Do you think they call Africans that live in Europe with generations of people, a family in Europe, do you think they call them Europeans? No, they call them Africans. They don't even call them Afro-European. They might tell you they're Afro-European if you go over there, like I've been over there. They're just Africans. They're Ethiopian. They are where they come from. Ethiopian, Nigerian, Ghanaian. That's what they call them. Oh, I'm Nigerian. They don't say, oh, I'm European or I'm Britain. I live in Britain. I'm British, but I am Nigerian first. That's what they are. So miss me with that shit. The lies you tell, Dead Mike. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Just sit on that. One minute, Dead Mike is pro-black. The next minute, he on some bullshit. He's a troll, straight up and down. Anyway, that's all I got for now. I will continue on this thing, because I got more to talk about. Because this is some bullshit. Much love, like, share, subscribe, and we're going to keep marching forward toward freedom. Peace.